family did with the petty name and stuff. And the Arfons name, as far as jet-powered vehicles, other than aircraft, is just incredible to watch, to see how that family has progressed. And Tim grew up with it, and obviously he's carried on, and he's probably got kids coming along after him.
Well, the monster truck semifinals are coming up here in a minute. And we're checking once again with Forbes Field and the FAA tower on the wind situation here at Topeka to see if Ernie Adams can make that sky cycle jump. And Spanky Spangler trying to go over 200 feet in that automobile. Let's get an update from Brett on the monster trucks.
Well, I was just going to say, gentlemen, that this particular round, of course, they will have 50 extra feet of approach room, and that is going to make a world of difference. From 100 feet approach to those 5-foot-high ramps to another 100, well, it's going to be 150 feet when they start this time. And again, this will determine the finalists that will come back for $20,000 to win. More importantly, however, this is where it gets serious, because obviously the trucks that are coming out right now have already proven themselves in the initial jumping competition. I would fully expect to see a few people in this round. Certainly don't want to pick any names individually, but fully expect a few people to push this a lot farther than needs to be here in the semifinals. This could be a really scary round.
Well, that's because only 4 drivers will advance to the final round for a shot at the $20,000 first prize. So 150 feet is going to be the startup distance here.
You know, these guys they had 100 feet before, I guess, was their startup distance, and they were jumping 110 feet. You know, so when these guys start jumping 100 or getting 150 feet of startup distance, or 200 feet in the next round, whatever it be, they were talking about jumping 150 feet. That's incredible with these pieces of equipment,
especially with a 10,000-pound truck. So Nightmare, Equalizer, the Carolina Crusher, Dragon Slayer, Monster Patrol, Gravedigger, Bigfoot, and Barefoot. That's in the reverse order of how they qualified for this semifinal. Round 2, the semifinal round. 8 trucks, only 4 advance. A lot of noise, but how much distance for Nightmare? 95 Dodge Ram for Andy Hoffman out of Huntington, Indiana.
You know, Andy was one that they interviewed before that said that he was going to go back and work on his...
Oh, a lot of height. And he's right at about the 100-foot mark. He's a little shorter than last run. Excuse me, longer than his last run at 80 feet 5 inches.
But you can see how the truck never settles down. As it hits, it continues to bounce, and it bounces to the left, bounces to the right. It never settles down. When you watch the Barefoots or the Gravediggers and you watch those guys land, they've got their shock thing pretty well figured out, where they just land solid, they bounce maybe one time, and the shocks take over.
He came down hard on the front wheels too, Kyle.
Up in the shocks, that shows how rigid these shocks are. He didn't break a shock, he broke a shock mount. He broke it off the frame completely, and you know, if he'd have broke a shock, he could have probably gone back and changed shocks, but breaking the frame is something totally different.
Kreg Christensen from Layton, Utah, riding Dragon Slayer. Sounds like a bull riding competition. That's how these things react. Here we go. I didn't think that thing. Whoa! Watch that guardrail. Didn't think that thing was ever going to idle down.
No, I didn't either, man. And it got away from him when it got back on the pavement there. It got away from him a little bit.
I think the Dragon may have gotten Kreg. Kreg spends a lot of time with community projects, Boy Scouts, and DARE programs when he's not racing. A little steering correct there. Another one.
That thing hit really hard right there. Really hard.
Look at that right rear axle.
Yeah. See, these guys, just like they said, you know, this concrete is so hard. They're landing on this stuff, and it's breaking stuff. And if they start pushing it and trying to pressure things, they're going to break stuff like this.
He is right close on to 100 feet. I believe it's going to be 98 feet and change. 98 feet 3 inches for Kreg Christensen. Another look at it here.
Yeah, when he hits hard, you can see it dragging right there. It just spins him to the right. It's a shame you come out here and lose an engine like that, because these guys came from a pretty good ways away for this.
Oh, Gary Porter bounces his way past the 100-foot mark, it looked like.
Yeah, that looked like a really good jump. Really
good launch.
Jump. He didn't have that good of a first jump, as we talked about it. Like I said, I'm going to have to put him because Carolina boy. So, but the first jump didn't look like this thing. When it lands, he's all bit as you look at it some. I don't know his when he landed. A lot of height in this jump. Lands pretty solid.
Yeah, pretty square, but
he gets off. It pitches to the left a little bit, and the body rolls to the right. And he could have broke a shock or something on that one, because it looks like it does get away from him a little bit here towards the end.
So there's Gary Porter. About to climb out of his Carolina Crusher. 108 feet, 6 inches. That is the second longest jump of the night, Brett.
That was a good one, buddy. 108.6, but I don't need to tell you that this thing's leaning hard to the right after that one.
Yeah, Brett, it sure is. I was just going for it. The landing and everything felt good. The jump couldn't have been any straighter. And I broke a shock mount off of the right side, and I think I'll be through for tonight.
You think it broke it too?
Oh, yes, definitely. It broke the shock mount, and that's why the frames dropped on the right side there.
And there's no way you can get it back?
No, we'll be out for tonight.
You must have known that the minute it landed.
Well, no, I didn't know exactly what it was. I looked around here when I was backing up, and I seen what was broke, where the shock mount was broken. We're through for tonight.
I'll tell you what, that's a tough way to give up that much money.
Yeah, it sure is, Brett. It's sort of disheartening. We come way out here. It's a world competition. We was hoping to go away a winner, but, it just wasn't our day. We'll have to try it again.
Now, honest to goodness, this may seem weird that I would ask you this quick. If you're not going to be in this in the next round, who do you think's going to walk away with this thing?
It's really going to be a toss-up, I think, between Bigfoot and Barefoot. They run the hardest the first round, and I think they'll continue, and they'll come on out here a little bit fuller.
And they're the best of friends.
Oh, they are.
Yeah, right. Has custom-built gas shocks and springs under it. He's got to go long enough to make the finals and be strong enough that the truck will run in the final round for $20,000. And he comes to stage. Paul Shaffer from Indiana, Monster Patrol. Yeah, that's over 100 feet. That launched hard.
Yeah, he's got some massive acceleration in this truck. I can see why he runs that wing on it, because it snaps the front tires off the ground whenever he gets on the gas. In his first jump, he had a little bit of trouble controlling it off the line. It jumped away from him a little bit as it pulled the tires and veered to the right, and he had a steering correction. But this one was a good, clean run off the line. Got good acceleration up over the jump.
There's the 100-foot mark, and he's well past it.
These guys keep jumping like this. I think Barefoot's going to have to jump.
Paul Shaffer ties for the third longest jump tonight at 108 feet. So that's the second longest jump of this round, tied for third longest tonight. Brett?
Well, that's good news for the man coming around the side here. This guy used to race up around Chicago, land in late model stock cars. That's where that big wing came from. So Kyle Petty, who just watched your jump and said, man, that's about as much air as we've seen from anybody, he was impressed, and it was 108 feet. That should give you a spot in the final.
I hope so. We got this Van Sentence racing motor running pretty good, and we worked real hard, and this is a tough track.
Yeah, I mean, you've never been in a situation where you have only had to gear this truck for sheer acceleration on asphalt before.
Yeah, the only farthest I ever jumped was probably 50, 60 feet indoors and outdoors, but this is a new experience for me.
What's it like up there?
I tell you what, I can see all the people in the grandstands way up in the lights.
Look down on them.
I'm telling you.
Good job.
Thank you.
So Paul Shaffer may advance, and we're told that Fred Shaffer has chosen to run this round with Barefoot, even though at 110 feet